Oh, what is this? Stole the secret recipe to Coca-Cola. You know they can legally murder you for that, right? Like, I wouldn't risk it. I wouldn't want to steal anybody's secret recipe.
On June 29th, 2006, a man named Dirk eagerly checked his account balance at the ATM, expecting to find a payment that was going to change his life forever. Staring at the screen, he picked up his phone and dialed his contact, a man by the name of Jerry. You see, Jerry was an executive at Pepsi, and between the two of them, they were engaging in a very secretive deal. A deal that would give Pepsi the upper hand in their corporate battle against Coca-Cola.
Chat, which one of you drinks Coca-Cola and which one of you drinks Pepsi? You guys should automatically hate each other.
Jerry answered the phone and Dirk confirmed the transaction had arrived. This was just one financial transaction to keep the ball rolling and make sure everyone knew they were serious about proceeding.
Wow, people really don't like Pepsi.
Just a small $10,000 deposit on what was certain to be millions of dollars in the near future.
Wow.
After all, corporate espionage is a serious matter.
Yes.
And this level of access doesn't come cheap. The pair then discussed a place and time to meet in person. Just a week later, on July 5th, Dirk, who's...
Why would you ever believe that the other person wouldn't rat you out? That's what I never understood, like, at all.
His name was Dimson.
Like, you really that trusting?
Hotel in Atlanta. One of his accomplices, a man by the name of Dehaney, drove him to the location and then waited outside in the car while the meeting took place. Dimson saw Jerry in the restaurant of the hotel. The pair sat for a while, and then the transaction took place, like something out of a spy novel. A bag of money stuffed to the brim with $1.5 million in cold hard cash. Binders full of documents labeled top secret, the handoff seemingly simple. But life isn't a spy novel. Dimson stood, put out his hand to shake on it with Jerry, but just like Dimson wasn't really Dirk, as he'd claimed, Jerry wasn't really Jerry. The outstretched hand was refused. Instead, Jerry produced a shiny badge that read Special Agent, Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Hold on, I gotta turn it up a little bit, it's a bit quiet. Is this better?
Simultaneously, agents swarmed the car outside, grabbing Dehaney and placing both of them under arrest.
Pigs!
But there was a third, more important member of the Coca-Cola bandits, the one that started it all. So, let's go back to the very beginning.
Coca-Cola says it's the real thing. But Pepsi-Cola believes that when it comes to colas, the only real thing is taste. That's why the Pepsi Challenge has been asking thousands of people across the country to let their own taste decide. And the fact is, nationwide, more people prefer the taste of Pepsi over Coca-Cola.
I like friendly competition where companies shit on each other. I think it's fun.
The real thing.
Yeah,
so take the
real
Pepsi Challenge and let your taste decide.
In the corporate world, very few things are more important than secrecy. After all, you only have an edge for so long as you can do something better than your competitors.
True.
For this reason, corporate security is an often overlooked but incredibly serious matter. One that companies pay incredible sums of money to maintain. Even the most basic or straightforward job...
Well, it's like cheats in a video game. You gotta cheat before everyone else starts cheating. You gotta get ahead.
Some of these large corporations can be subject to seemingly over-the-top security measures. I'm talking background checks, ID card access with manned security at every door, 24/7, 360-degree security cameras in facilities, body searches when entering or leaving work, that kind of thing. What they're usually protecting is the Krabby Patty secret formula, but that isn't the only example. As secrecy doesn't extend to only what goes into a physical product, but how it's made, software code that's written, research and development documents, customer data, or a great number of other confidential and important aspects of operating the business.
As a customer.
These are what are referred to as trade secrets. And there's very few companies on the entire planet that take this more seriously than Coca-Cola. After all, the recipe for the classic taste of Coca-Cola has been a closely guarded secret for well over a century.
The secret is cocaine and love.
It's rumored the recipe is kept locked away in a multi-million-dollar vault, with only 2 human beings on the planet being aware of the recipe by memory. To take it a step further, both these people are allegedly not allowed to fly on the same aircraft as each other.
Just in case one of them dies? Wait, they treat them like the president?
Just in case it was to crash and result in the loss of information. With this being the case, the culture of secrecy is embedded in everything they do. And for that reason, they take special care with every aspect of that culture, including the hiring process.
Yeah, designated survivor. Isn't that like really grim? Like, oh, see you, Jerry. Oh, you're gonna fly to the Bahamas? Okay, I won't fly then.
She seemed a perfect candidate. The daughter of a church deacon, 3.5 years of perfect conduct to the largest Coca-Cola bottling facility. She seemed like the exact person that you could promote internally instead of seeking external hires and taking on additional risk with people you don't know. So in 2005, corporate decided to take her out of the factory straight into the office as an administrative assistant to the global head of marketing. Not only was this a massive...
That's a massive promotion. Like, out of nowhere? The guy who tastes Bluebell ice cream has his tongue insured for $1 million? Is Bluebell ice cream that good? I've never had any. I have never had Bluebell ice cream.
Opportunity for Williams, but it was a position of incredible trust. As an assistant to such a large figure, she would be handling sensitive documents, internal communications, products, plans and details of all aspects of Coca-Cola's future as a matter of daily responsibility.
What if this was just a test? Like, she didn't get the real formula, and they were like testing how much they could trust a person that they randomly like promoted up?
Just that, but her compensation had increased to $50,000 a year, which wasn't anything to look down upon compared to the factory work she'd left behind, and of course the year when this is happening. But not everything was sunshine and rainbows, because it rarely is. For Williams, you see, she wasn't satisfied. This feeling ate away at her day after day, but there was nothing she could really do about it. She obviously wasn't just going to leave this cushy new job that had a very high ceiling for growth. She did have ideas though, what she could do. And in November of 2005, just after a year after her new amazing promotion, Williams was at a Thanksgiving dinner with her family, where she was then introduced to Edmund Dehaney, an ex-convict who just returned to civil...
Out of prison on coke charges? Are you kidding me?
Civilized society.
What?
The two discussed something very private, and then agreed to meet another time at her apartment to discuss it further. What they discussed was the possession and potential sale of secret documents from Coca-Cola, which she'd accessed through her job. Dehaney, of course, knew absolutely nothing about this, or what he could do. But Dehaney was interested, because he was a father of 3 struggling to find work. After all, it sounded like a big opportunity and not something that you'd see every single day of the week. Especially...
You know what I should do? Not get a normal job. I should rob Coca-Cola. Women love criminals. Yes, they do, apparently.
When Williams explained she had access to USB sticks that surely somebody would pay top dollar to possess. The only problem, at least in her mind, was that she'd signed a non-disclosure agreement, which is where Dehaney would come in, acting as a middleman for the transactions. But Dehaney knew he wasn't that guy. He had no experience in this. Despite his willingness to be involved, the next few months saw little to no progress. Williams was desperate. She would call him almost weekly to check in. Have you figured it out yet? Do you know what we're going to do yet? And eventually Dehaney did come up with a plan. You see, being in prison, you meet people. Some people have experience with many different kinds of things in life.
True.
Generally, crime.
Yeah.
And Dehaney knew just the guy for this particular crime.
Sure.
A white-collar criminal who was arrested on embezzlement charges by the name of Ibrahim Dimson. In February 2005, Dehaney called Dimson and explained the situation. Being the more business-minded of the two, Dimson recognized this opportunity immediately and wasted no time getting involved. On the 4th of April 2006, Dehaney picked Dimson up at the Atlanta airport and took him right to Williams for their very first in-person meeting between the Coca-Cola bandits. Williams convinced the pair that this was
the Coke bandits.
Just another day in corporate America, that it happened all the time and that Pepsi would be more than happy to pay for a competitive advantage over their rivals. After all, they'd been locked in this rivalry for years. The trio totally agreed to this and started making more concrete plans of how to proceed. The first step was to procure official Coca-Cola stationery such as envelopes, which Williams had easy access to. The next step was to write a letter addressed to a high-ranking Pepsi employee by the name of Antonio J. Lucio. The reason they needed the official Coca-Cola...
That guy sounds like he's in the mafia and you really want to fuck with him? Antonio J. Lucio? Hey, you're trying to steal the Coca-Cola formula!
Envelope was to make sure it was taken seriously by the recipient. The official envelope and paper would show, yes, this is somebody inside Coca-Cola and not just some random crazy person sending a letter. They put pen to paper and this is what they said. Dear Pepsi, I have information that's all classified and extremely confidential, that only a handful of the top execs at my company have seen. I can even provide actual products and packaging of certain products that no eye has seen outside of maybe 5 top execs. I'm looking to deliver to the highest bidder. This exclusive offer is only available for 2 weeks. You can reach me at redacted number, signed Dirk. The level of brazen confidence to not only write
and you think that they're not gonna just fucking report you instantly
letter, but then send it, is almost commendable. In their mind, this was a totally reasonable and intelligent play. But then again, Williams also thought the only issue with committing corporate espionage was her having signed a non-disclosure agreement, which would be a civil matter, and not the criminal actions they were about to engage in.
I wonder if the NDA includes, like, taking your balls or something. Like, if you try and break this NDA, we just clamp your balls shut in, like, a cage. Forever.
So they didn't really seem to understand that there was any legal severity at all. Weeks went by with nothing happening. The trio were at a loss for what to do next.
Oh no.
Did the letter get lost? Did they throw it in the bin without reading it?
By the way, isn't this entire thing crazy too? Is that 500k wasn't enough for her? She wants 500k a year wasn't enough for her. She wanted more. And somehow also get away with it. I feel like you work for that company for like, what, 20 years? You're chilling. You're chilling for life. 50k? Oh, it was 50k? I was like 500k. Still, that's a really good job. 50k is a good job. For being a secretary?
Were they not interested in the offer? What was going on? On the other side of the table, in reality, the letter had been opened. Somebody at Pepsi, whether it was the intended recipient or not, opened it, read it, had a meeting, and then immediately faxed a copy of that letter straight to Coca-Cola headquarters for the attention of the highest level contact they had, which was the very top of the company. On May 24th, 2006...
Oh yeah, and it's 50k in 2005. I actually didn't even think about that. That was 20 years ago. Yeah, that's actually really good money for a secretary. Secretaries don't really usually make that much.
In 5 days of receiving this letter by fax, Coca-Cola Corporate Security met with the FBI, who reviewed the information and then opened an official investigation into the matter due to the confidential nature of what was being described, as well as Pepsi being the recipient, displaying a clear criminal intent. Special Agent Gerald Reichard was assigned to the case, though quickly he became known simply as Jerry, a Pepsi representative who was very interested in buying this confidential information from the Coca-Cola bandits. Jerry called the number provided in the letter and started speaking to the person who signed it, known simply as Dirk. Dirk confirmed he had access to an almost unlimited supply of confidential information with ongoing access, which immediately confirmed to Agent Reichard that this was a current employee they were dealing with and not a former employee. When asked about proof of this access, the very next day Dirk faxed over 14 documents that had corporate Coca-Cola branding and contained the words confidential information or classified highly restricted on them. While this was ongoing, the trio was moving behind the scenes to get more documents into Dimson's hands. Williams and Dehaney lived close by to each other in Atlanta, but Dimson was all the way over in New York, and since he was posing as Dirk, he was the one who needed access to the documents in person as the middleman for the transactions. So the very same day he faxed the 14 documents for proof, a 65-pound package was processed in Atlanta with Federal Express, sent by Williams using Dehaney's name and addressed to Dimson.
And you just think you're not gonna get caught or tracked? Like, all of these are very traceable things. Like, what are we talking about, man? This is some low IQ heisting, I'm not gonna lie.
As the negotiations progressed, with Jerry and Dirk having multiple phone conversations on May 30th, details were further disclosed. Payments were also demanded. An initial goodwill payment of $100,000 would need to be made into Dimson's Bank of America account, which he provided freely. This, he said, was to show Pepsi was serious about buying the information and not just messing him around. He was already getting frustrated that the process was moving too slowly for his liking, and that he could sell the documents to someone else if they were going to waste his time. When the payment wasn't sent, he lowered the price very quickly to just $9,000 and sent one single-page fax as a kind of teaser for the sort of information he had access to. To keep him on the hook, he did receive $5,000 from the FBI, which he of course thought was Pepsi, but that's all he would be getting for now.
Well, I mean, you're gonna get it back anyway. You're gonna get the money back anyway, so what's the problem?
They continued back and forth with phone calls, more teasing documents,
jump out,
until the FBI and, more importantly, Coca-Cola were finally ready. On June 15th, Agent Rycard contacted Dimson and told him everything was ready. They had the money they'd discussed. Ooh. A $30,000 upfront payment for a special vial of product that was marked super top secret at the Coca-Cola headquarters. A vial of product that Williams had stolen and then sent to Dimson. Jerry and Dirk met at the Atlanta International Airport on June 16th, where Jerry, of course Agent Rycard, could be seen wandering around holding a box of Girl Scout cookies, and Dimson with an Armani Exchange duffel bag full of papers and a vial of liquid. The two exchanged their odd packages in the middle of the airport and went their separate ways. Agent Rycard back to the FBI, and Dimson to Dehaney's home in Decatur.
Don't they have, like, cameras everywhere in an airport? I keep thinking about it for like more than like a 2 seconds, and I'm like, don't they have cameras like everywhere at an airport? Why would you do it in an airport? Not like even a back alley somewhere.
Georgia. Little did the Coca-Cola bandits know, earlier that very same morning, a judge had signed a wiretap on Dimson's cell phone. This led to recorded conversations and voicemails between the trio on the very same day that their top-secret spy lifestyle had started to pay dividends. But as he would have guessed, not everything was going to plan, because criminals are criminals and inherently untrustworthy.
Yeah,
so the split of the $30,000 in cash didn't go exactly to plan. Dimson gave Dehaney an envelope of $8,000 to take back to Williams as her cut, but Dehaney took out $2,000 and put that in his pocket. The other $22,000 Dimson kept himself. But this was the small-time money, because just 6 days later, Jerry was back on the phone with Dirk, clearly very happy with the documents he'd purchased, and unlike previous conversations where Jerry had stalled, he dragged his feet, he'd made slow progress, he was now pushing for an immediate sale. Numbers were then thrown around, 1 million here, 1.25 million there. And after some negotiation, Jerry and Dirk settled on $1.5 million. This would be payment for an agreed upon 20 confidential items that Dimson claimed to have in his possession. But Dimson was still greedy, so to confirm that they were serious,
1.5 million isn't enough.
He asked Jerry to wire him $11,000 to his account, a random number he came up with as some kind of criminal booking fee, to reserve the meeting.
And banks can track wiring. Yeah, I think, chat, you're right. Also, it was my birthday. They did that on my birthday, the 22nd of June.
Where he would then hand over another duffel bag of documents and receive a duffel bag of $100 bills, totaling $1.5 million. On June 29th, the FBI did wire him $10,000 straight to his Bank of America account, with his full name on display.
Yep.
And then the meeting happened
What a dumbass. Dumb criminals get caught and they make stories like this.
Just as described at the start of the video. But little did the Coca-Cola bandits know,
I'm the Coke
the
bandit,
company
yeah.
had also caught onto Williams earlier that month, as they were installing new hidden cameras near her work area on June 12th, where they then observed her searching for documents and putting papers in her bag, which also included the new Coca-Cola product sample that would later be sold to Special Agent Rykard. The three of them were arrested and immediately indicted for conspiracy to commit theft of trade secrets. This was a pretty open and shut case because, as with most crime, it was incredibly sloppy. They gave out real phone numbers, bank accounts with their real names on them, talked openly on.
They didn't even use a middleman or anything. Like, I understand there's no crypto around at this point, but like, they didn't use cash. They wired real money to a real bank account. Like, there's just so many layers of stupidity that like I immediately point out, even though I'm not a career criminal and I've never done like an actual crime in my life, but like, holy shit, man.
The phone to each other, deposited large sums of cash from the initial payouts,
and in
was
an
caught on camera
airport,
stealing
too.
the documents and products that were later sold to the FBI.
This
And
is
yet,
genuinely just a
despite
skill
all of
issue.
this, the judge in the case described the trial as one of the worst he has ever seen, stating, quote, "I can't think of another case in 25 years that there's been so much obstruction of justice." For Dehaney and Dimson, both being convicted criminals already, they took the smart route. Dimson, who pretended to be Dirk and did most of the legwork for the sale of the trade secrets, immediately pleaded guilty without a plea deal. And
He just conceded straight up. They didn't even have to like twist his arm or anything.
Was sentenced to 60 months imprisonment. Dehaney initially tried to fight the case, intending to go to a full jury trial, but very quickly took a written plea agreement and agreed to testify against Williams, for which he received just 2 years. Williams, on the other hand, well, that's a whole different story altogether. She pleaded not guilty, and initially claimed the two men double-crossed her and essentially coerced her to doing it.
You know what? That's her best case scenario, because the judge, because she's a girl, they might go easier on her. Yeah, that's
Eventually,
a play.
due to insurmountable evidence, she was convicted by a jury of her peers. Joya Williams made a tearful plea that lasted several minutes, claiming how sorry she was and begged for leniency in the judge's sentencing. The judge, however, was unconvinced, choosing to deviate from sentencing guidelines, giving her more time in prison than the
absolutely based. Oh my god, based.
Guideline would suggest, stating that not only did she choose to commit the crimes, but she also then chose to lie about it on the
He actually fucked her. Oh my god, that's so funny. Your Honor, I'm just a girl. Oh my god, like I didn't mean to, and also like they coerced me because they're two big men, and I didn't know what I was doing, and they said, "No, bitch, nah." So you did bad. Longer punishment.
Which kind of makes a tearful apology useless, because if you were really sorry, you'd have said, "Yes, I did it," and then just moved on to your punishment.
True.
After all, if you're sorry only after you're convicted and lose, are you even really sorry in the first place?
No.
Either way, by the end of it all, the three Coca-Cola bandits tried to pull off an incredibly silly and movie plotline crime. Something that nobody in their right mind would consider possible. That isn't to say that corporate espionage doesn't happen, because it absolutely does, but at no point would a company anywhere near the size of Pepsi reply to a random letter that could be from anybody and engage in a blatantly illegal act. That would be one of the dumbest things to ever happen, and yet, this was the Coca-Cola bandits' entire strategy. One that failed at inception and cost them everything.
You didn't even have an insider. It was just you mailing them and being like, "Oh yeah, do you want to like work with us?" Of course they'd immediately tip them. Like, tip the FBI. Like, be like, "Damn, even if it's a nobody, you would still do it." Yeah, what an idiot.
And that's the story. Thanks for watching.
Unbelievable, man. This is so funny. Chat, you wanna go steal from Pepsi? Yeah, let's go steal from Pepsi. I'm sure that we can find someone that's a smuggler. Go check out Kira. I haven't watched a video by him in a little bit. absolute buffoon? I am. Pepsi already knows anyways. Yeah, that's true. They'd hear all the smugglers rolling up. Yep.